What is going on, everyone? We are here with another Resident Evil Village screenshot breakdown from the official press release from Capcom from the past week that they showed the Resident Evil showcase, in which we got a bunch more Resident Evil Village information. Now, John, let's start off with these screenshots.
There's a couple of really interesting things going on in this picture. First of all, for those of you who watched the trailer, you may have caught a glimpse of these, what we are calling here at Let's Talk Resident Evil. I don't know what everybody else in the community is calling it because we don't really look at the rest of the community. But we're calling them gargoyles because they're very reminiscent of that idea of a Gothic style flying winged creature.
Right.
They're perched, you know, which is something gargoyles traditionally in fantasy and or real life even, because gargoyles are real statues. Not that they fly around and kill people, but they are real, and that is their traditional pose, is perched on top of castle buildings, and this is beautiful. We did try to clean up this picture as much as we could, but we really can't get any more details than what you see here on the screen. We'll zoom in as we're talking to certain parts that we're talking about. But, Anthony, what do you think about the gargoyle design? We'll touch on them first. They do appear to look more flesh than stone, which I'm happy about, because the first thing I said to you when I said that we were looking at maybe gargoyles was I was hoping they were going to be tied into some type of BOW or some type of like scientifically explainable creature than it being actual stone gargoyles, because I think that would have crossed the line.
Yeah, I think having them connected to some kind of virus or parasite is very reminiscent of some of the flying creatures we've gotten in past Resident Evil games, like in Resident Evil 5 or even the Bat in RE0, like these flying enemies that we've had to deal with. It looks like this time now they're in groups, they're in like waves, so it looks like they're sticking together as a unit, so at least from this picture that we can see. And I agree. I think having them connected to some kind of experiment or something that happened with one of the families within the village, and that's how they got out, or maybe that's how an experiment went wrong, and then they did it on purpose. It was meant for ill intent to have these things flying around. The one thing that I also wanted to bring up, and something we were talking about, is if you look right in between two of them, that's closer to one of the towers, there's like these cable lines that run across.
Yeah, and they run straight to an area.
It runs straight to an area
that looks like it has a torch or some type of light source.
It looks like some kind of cable line, like in RE4, where you get on the little thing and it brings
like
you
a cable car. Yeah, like a small cable car. Like think like a mine cart.
Right. I can imagine you being on there, and from first-person perspective, you got to pick off these enemies that are flying around
as they're flying.
And if you're not prepared, you know, it could be a hard time. That's what that looks like. But it looks like they're going to be in this particular area of the game, and it looks like something different, but it doesn't look anything out of the ordinary as far as what Capcom has done in Resident Evil. So I think they can really make it work.
Yeah,
I do like the fact that they're keeping these kind of under wraps right now. We only really see them from a distance. You know what I mean? They're all kind of covered up.
I also think that it's interesting that they seem to have like a horn or some type of tendril that comes out of them. It's one of those things that, like, I really like the design. I really wish we could see a little bit more detail, though, because they almost look like this one all the way at the top. You can kind of make out the wings and the legs, and you can see the horn and the tendril, but I'm not really sure what that's supposed to be. It could possibly be that they're wearing shrouds, like hoods, like the creatures that we're going to get a screenshot later on that we're going to talk a little bit about. So it's possibly that these could be like the next stage for them. However, which we'll talk about a little bit coming up in a screenshot that's very, very heavy in terms of discussion. I believe it's the fourth screenshot. We want to talk about these again because these, if all the enemies in this game represent different houses, these might have a tie to one of the houses, and we'll talk about that in a little bit.
Yeah.
But I think this is really cool. I'm super excited for Village. I'm super excited to see these enemies in particular because this is the first flying enemy, other than just a crow or just a bat or whatever, that I've seen in Resident Evil that I really am intrigued by the design. Traditionally, Resident Evil has not made interesting flying enemies, in my opinion. The bat in 5 was pretty cool. The big bat like centipede thing.
Yeah. Also, the Popikas, the little flying parasites that came out of their heads.
Yeah,
in
yeah,
RE5
yeah.
that look just like this. But again, yeah, whether they're memorable or forgettable, that's a matter of opinion. It's one of those things where it's like, as long as they make it work with the theme that we're kind of getting in this game. But moving on to screenshot number 2, the statue.
Yeah, so this is actually something you can catch a glimpse of in the Maiden demo. It's behind the second floor locked door. If you walk up to the bleeding eye door is what I call it. If you go past that to the left, if you're looking at that door and walk around, there's a locked door, and you can peek through the bars and actually see this statue off in the distance.
Yeah, very crazy looking statue here.
At least it looks like that statue. It's potentially it couldn't be. I'm going from memory here, but
Right.
I'm pretty sure that's the statue you see.
You know there's going to be plenty in the castle, that's for sure.
Plenty, and all of them have their titties out.
All of them are half naked. Yes.
They're all half naked.
Fit with the Romanian theme, and
Yeah. Now this one's interesting too because you have a lantern, a spear, a dagger, and 5 women. What appears to be 5 women.
right.
One of them has a hood. We think that it could possibly be symbolizing Mother Miranda. And this could have something to do with the legend. We don't know because we don't have those details yet.
Yeah.
But it does look like they're about to cut and remove the heart
They're
of
about to
the
kill for her, give her a heart or something.
Yeah,
Like, they're
or
doing
something.
something for her because you see how she's like holding them, or they're kind of like. It just seems like they're doing this for her.
Yeah.
That just the way that they're sitting and they're sacrificing this lady, like.
And the one is restrained, which is really interesting.
Yeah.
At first, when we first saw the picture, we both thought that the one being restrained was the one stabbing with the spear. But once we zoomed in, you can see that it's not the case. That's just another one being restrained.
Yeah.
And I think another interesting parallel to this too is the tall lady, Alcina, and her 3 daughters that she calls daughters. We don't know if they're actually her daughters, but this is a parallel to them too because there's 3 of them and then one taller woman, and then there's a lady at the bottom getting killed. We don't know what it means. We're not going to spend too much time theorizing in this video, but we do have a theory video coming that will be coming out after this that
Yep.
we might revisit the statue because there's potentially a little bit of a deeper meaning to this statue that might play into that theory about the wine in
Yes.
Castle Dimitrescu. So
We have a whole theory about
yeah.
that.
We're going to have a whole theory about that coming out later. And if you're watching this in the archive much later on, that will be linked in the description below. Ah, yes. This one's an interesting one.
This is the puzzle, the little puzzle piece that we also saw a glimpse of in the little showcase as well.
But you see on the wall there's one that's clearly lit. And then there's 4 that aren't lit. And then there's 4 statues here, which seemingly come out of the ground, because we did see that in one of the trailers earlier on. And I believe this is the same area. Now, what I find really interesting is if you look at the figures on the statue, they're all depicting wings, like angel wings, right?
Yeah.
They're all female busts as well. And they all have sockets. So, like, one of them is 1, one of them is 2, one of them is 3, one of them is 4. Reminds me of the crests in Remake, how you push on them and then the sockets pop out and you put them in the tombstone. Not that I'm saying there's a correlation between them. I'm just saying it reminds me of that one thing. It looks to me like you might be putting faces on these.
Right, because
Like,
they're all
they're-
headless.
They're all headless. And I think that you're going to get faces and put them on there almost like the 4 death masks back in the day in Remake.
And it looks like there's a little description on a plaque on the door that
Yeah.
I guess is locking. Probably a hint to solve the puzzle
For
or something
sure.
like that.
For sure.
Nothing really on the floor that we see. We just see another statue with candles next to it, right next to these little pieces here to the puzzle.
Yeah, and I'm going to make a prediction. I don't know. We don't have any merit for this. I don't think that any we don't have any grounds to base this theory on. But in the trailer or the gameplay that's shown in the showcase, there is a scene where Ethan seemingly puts his hand on a coffin.
Yeah.
Very reminiscent to the Crimson Head Elder. Very, like he has a coffin too, right? I think that coffin that has the Dimitrescu flower on it is going to be behind that door. That's what I think. I'm not going to say that I know for sure. I'm not going to say that I have a real good reason to believe so, but I just have a feeling that coffin is going to play a vital role in the story, and I think that it's going to be behind this door. I just have a feeling.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely gonna be hidden behind something that's harder to get into, or something you have to solve a puzzle for.
I'd be surprised if it wasn't.
Right. Very, very, very cool looking. I personally like the look of this room and screenshot, and it's also a great feeling to know that we're gonna get some more puzzles in this, especially more than that was in Resident Evil 3 and 2. So hopefully we get a nice return of puzzles, even more than 7.
Yeah, I was gonna say something that 7 did better than 2 and 3.
Yeah,
was the puzzles. And I'm really excited to see that they're keeping that with this style.
They try to say that right off the bat. Now, moving on to the next screenshot. This next screenshot looks like the room in which the tall lady is drinking the tea in the trailer, right? With the other...
Well, we hope it's tea.
Or tea, or...
And not Ethan's blood. I think it's Ethan's blood.
Yeah. The quote-unquote teacup with blood in it, we saw in
it's in this shot.
Too.
It's
in this shot, it's the same glass that was actually on the dining room table in the Maiden demo.
Wine glass, goblet, cup, whatever you guys want to call it. You can or girls, you can call it whatever you want. This is the same exact room that the daughters seemingly drag him into.
Yep.
And then she says like, "Oh, Ethan, we finally meet." And then she takes a sip of her cup before she stands up and puts it right there on that desk.
Yeah.
But what we really didn't catch the first time or see, you can kind of make it out. I went back and rewatched it. Is this lever?
Yeah.
With a horse on it. Probably going to lead to a trap room or a trap door because, it's a castle.
And one of the horses was one of the logos on the family symbols, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But you also see that there's like shackles on the ground too next to, I don't know if this has any relevancy to someone who was captured or Ethan or whoever, but it looks like there's someone's shackles that are right next to the fireplace here. There's definitely more to this room than what we see here. So.
I'm guessing it's either going to be a lever that opens up the door that you see to the left, or it's going to be a lever that opens up the fireplace.
Or maybe you come in here before she captured, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you have to mess around in here before that inevitable cutscene.
Which is also possible, yeah.
Yeah, so who knows? But very creepy indeed. Definitely love the look of the castle and theme so far. This is the big one. This is actually really important, guys, if you're watching or just listening to this.
Even if it ends up not being like super important, this is the screenshot that I think we have the most to talk about.
Right, definitely. So this screenshot, it shows 4 houses that are represented in the village from what we understand. It looks like the Umbrella logo, right in the middle.
It looks like they all represent one of the red parts.
One of the red parts of the Umbrella.
The blood of Umbrella.
The blood of Umbrella.
Yeah.
And the top and the bottom as well, you can clearly see the Umbrella logo.
Yes.
On the screenshot. But John, why don't we talk about the first signal right here on the left side?
Yes. Yeah,
this is the one that people are familiar with, this logo right here.
Yes. House Dimitrescu. Now, that's what we're calling it. I haven't had it spoken yet officially by Capcom. So if we mispronounce anything,
if we butcher it, sorry.
If we butcher it, sorry. We're not linguists.
We're from South Jersey.
We speak English.
We're terrible.
And very, very little Japanese.
Right.
So it's not like we're going to be able to pronounce these names completely
Romanian
right.
Shit. Yeah. So.
Most of us in our community can't even spell English words properly. So it is what it is. But we're going to go forward with the pronunciations until they're said in the game.
Right. And you guys can still see what we're talking about.
For sure. So House Dimitrescu,
interpret it as you will.
They obviously are depicted by 2 sabers crossing behind a flower. They also seem to be accented. Each of these houses are accented by not only a king or some type of depiction of royalty.
Mm-hmm.
Again, 4 houses, 4 kings, 4 red lines of umbrella that are red, 4 that are white, 4 statues. Resident Evil has a history of doing 4s, 4 masks, 4 keys, 4 plugs, 4. There's so many 4s, right? This is continuing on in Resident Evil Village with the 444 thing. Could it mean Remake 4? We don't know. But I find it interesting that a lot of people are putting a lot of emphasis on the flowers. Now, the flower that's depicted on the two sabers is very reminiscent of an old logo that was cycling around, I think, for 3.5 or 2.5.
This is also the same logo that was on the wine glass.
The wine glass, yeah, it's the same. It's the Dimitrescu house logo, the crest, the shield, whatever you want to call it, coat of arms they call it.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's interesting that they're depicting with roses and thorns, and I personally think it does not look like the progenitor flower. I think it looks.
Think so.
I think it looks like the roses.
Yeah.
Now, this depiction on the coat of arms, you could argue, does not look completely in accordance with what a rose typically looks like. But what do you think? What do you think about that? About the progenitor virus theory?
I mean, the thing is like the fact that we know that this game may dive a little bit more into the lore and into the origins of either Resident Evil or Umbrella themselves and the history. I think that's why a lot of people are kind of tapping into that whole progenitor virus theory, is because they're thinking that it's going to be unveiling something that wasn't there from our history of Resident Evil, like something that fans don't even know.
Which I think we're still going to get.
I think we're still going to get it. I personally just don't think it's going to be right on the nose as the progenitor virus. I think we still may uncover lore that may have not been there from the beginning, that we might be seeing for the very first time as fans.
Yeah, I definitely think we're going to be getting connections to Spencer.
Yeah, because there's no way. I mean, you can't show this Umbrella logo in fans' faces and not really explain it away without some kind of reasonable explanation, unless you pull a Simmons or you pull something that's like kind of lazy, something like this.
Which even Simmons, was a believable character. Not that he's the best, but at least like you could understand why somebody would want to use it to his power.
Right.
Whereas like in this game, if Spencer is not brought up, or Umbrella's not brought up, or nothing like that is brought up, but these symbols are here, it's going to be a very big disappointment.
Yeah, and you have to really make it tie into, like make it really feel like Resident Evil with the lore in addition. And I feel like that's something that 7 kind of like was dicey with. It wasn't really so much like the feeling of why these things are progressing in the story. It didn't really feel like something that would happen to a certain extent as far as like Resident Evil. Like I think it's like, some of the stuff I believed, but some of it I was like, they could have done that a little bit better. Hopefully this time, if they're going to really dive deeper, because 7 didn't dive deep into any kind of origins at all. It didn't. It brought stuff back. It stripped stuff back to basics in a good way. But now story-wise and lore-wise, I don't know. It could bring up more stuff. I'm looking forward to it though. I hope it does. I'm just excited to see more.
We're gonna save that one for last. We're gonna move on to the Mermaid.
Okay,
next.
yeah, this is the Mermaid.
House. I'm guessing it's Moreau, because like Bo or anything else, right? So House Moreau is what we're gonna call it for now. Instead of Mario. House Moreau, or Moreu, whatever you want to say. Again, a king, a mermaid, and their accent line, it's water. No, obviously, no surprise if they're, represented by a mermaid or a siren. I think in this case, it's probably a siren.
Yeah.
Which is similar to a mermaid. With the waves being there, it just makes sense.
Maybe they're going to be, maybe this particular section, because I'll once we're done talking about all of them, I want to say about like my theory about these 4 little sections representing the village. But maybe this particular piece right here, this family might be out by the water, or might be out by some kind of like, land where you have to actually like travel, you know what I mean? And there might be some kind of water monsters or something like that on the way or around this particular family or the side of the village. Maybe that's what it's representing with waves and water. That's what I think about that. I could be wrong. It could just be, a random thing, but I just think that they definitely represent something a little bit more than just like little symbols that represent the side of the family or these particular people. I think it's really going to speak for what we're going to be encountering at this part of the game.
House Heisenberg. Another house that's very, very, very obviously represented in the trailer, because we seemingly meet Heisenberg,
Yeah.
who is the Bloodborne-esque character that looks like Maximilian
He's
Dude.
got the shades on.
He's got the shades, and he's got the hammer, and he's got apparently telekinesis.
He's got some powers, and he wants to see what Ethan's up to with his powers, because they definitely know that what Ethan is capable of. They're obviously not ignorant to the fact that he has and possesses some sort of power. So House Heisenberg is definitely reminiscent of that. But what we see here is a horseshoe and a horse. So we've obviously saw the horse on the lever. We've seen, these symbols kind of pop up around the village. So the tall lady referred to Heisenberg as her brother. That in particular is going to connect to whatever Heisenberg is going to be, at least as far as his pursuit. Whether or not he's, listening to what the tall lady is saying, or he's just taking things into his own hands and trying to chase Ethan, there's going to be a couple different pursuers in this game, it seems. But I'm curious to see if there's more people like Heisenberg himself. And I'm curious to see how much he's going to be in the game, because, is he going to be a boss that we're constantly going to fight? Is it going to be like a Jack Baker, where he's going to have, elements of him that he'll keep kind of progressing or getting stronger as it goes on? And, there'll be multiple elements of, of fights with him, I'm sure, or multiple moments of trying to get away from him. This one looks like it's represented by foliage or some type of grass or something. Yeah.
It definitely looks like plants.
Yeah.
Maybe
kind of
herbs.
plants. Right.
Maybe herbs.
Something.
Maybe all herbs come from Heisenberg.
Yeah.
That's a joke,
He
guys.
plants them all.
He plants them all. It's a joke.
I make meth. Jesse.
But now we're going to get to the most interesting one, right?
Oh, yeah.
House, I'm going to use the word benevolent to pronounce this, and I'm going to say it's Beneviento.
House Beneviento.
But it could also be Beneventio, but I think it's Beneviento. Regardless, whatever.
We told you we were going to butcher them.
We're going to butcher them. But Beneviento is a house that's represented by a sun and a moon.
Possibly Italian.
Yeah, so we'll go over that too. That it's possibly Italian because Benevento is Italian and it's very similar. But we researched all the house names to see if we could find anything. Heisenberg's German of origin. Moreau is Old French of origin, and Dumitrescu is actually Romanian.
Right.
And it actually has a definition. It's a real surname, which I think part of me believes that they're going to play minor roles other than Dumitrescu just because of the definition, which is spirit canoer, which I think could have heavy implications on the story, but we need to know more before we can really get into that.
Right.
This one is the most interesting to me because it has, other than Dumitrescu, because we actually see a lot of that stuff, this seemingly has connections to potentially Spencer.
Yeah.
In Resident Evil, especially in a lot of the Spencer estates, there is a lot of suns, a lot of moons, a lot of wind, a lot of stars. And this is also seemingly depicted with what I think looks like wind.
That's what it looks like.
It looks like wind.
Little swirls.
Yeah, little swirls. Now,
Right.
could it be something different? Absolutely. But I think it's very reminiscent on what a lot of ancient depictions say is like what wind looks like.
Right. I think so too.
The wind blows. There's little winds coming off the moon. The moon appears to be a goddess, and the sun appears to be a god, which is interesting as well, because then, a lot of people say the sun represents masculinity and the moon represents femininity. There's a whole bunch of parallels with that stuff. So I'm really interested in this house the most.
Yeah. That's probably my favorite logo. But that's on here.
I definitely think it's the best logo.
I think that one or the sabers.
Yeah, the Dumitrescu one. Yeah, I think the Beneviento logo is like the coolest. It's the most circular.
Right.
So it looks the best in my opinion, but they all look great.
Yeah, my theory with this is that I think these 4 families, or these 4 representing the village, I think these are going to be the 4 sections in the game in which you explore.
For sure.
I think they're all going to represent the kind of environment, the kind of enemies, the parts of the story that we're gonna unravel. I think we're gonna find out each piece of this little umbrella here in this village, just to kind of give it some more background and hopefully make the story feel fulfilled as far as like when we're playing it. That's just what I think.
Yeah, there's a lot of really cool, interesting little things we can talk about too, which could hold no grounds at all. The symbol in the middle looks like a pillar or like a brazier, a tall brazier.
Yeah, it does.
Or is this saying it's the pillar, the foundation of Umbrella?
Right. Like
is it the pillar of Umbrella?
Yeah.
When the four houses come together, is Umbrella born?
Is this the framework of everything?
The framework,
yeah.
Do they represent the elements, right? So, like, you have wind, you have water, you have earth, and then maybe the rose, maybe Dimitrescu is meant to represent fire.
Right.
The other three really fit into, like, horses are earth, tundra, lightning, you know, like, they're always depicted as being grounded animals, right? Mermaids or sirens are obviously aquatic. The sun, the moon, the astrals, the wind accent, that's wind. And then you have almost like fire was replaced with cold. In a way with Dimitrescu, because everything's very cold, but that could be just overthinking it for sure.
It's just
just interesting things we want to include in the video because it could spark discussion in the comments below.
Yeah, and people are going to ask us about it too because
for sure.
These are very important symbols, especially in
very important
in the lore right now.
I mean, even in Spencer's mansion, there is a ton of jewelry, a ton of boxes that they have,
much
with hearts and suns and moons on them,
plastered all over them.
Resident Evil has the crests, you know, like, and the one of the other things that has always been popular in Resident Evil has always been eagles and wolves.
Yep, definitely.
Which we don't see any wolves here in these depictions,
Not
but
yet.
they are in here, obviously inspired.
Absolutely.
Especially with some stuff we'll see later with like bullets and such. But yeah, I think this is definitely probably the longest breakdown of a screenshot, just because this has so many implications. Do these four kings have something to do with the puzzle?
Yeah.
Are we going to put their faces on
those statues,
the pillars,
right, to unlock the big
coffin,
right? Yeah,
What's going to happen? I think, it seems like such a weird thing because it's so easy, but I kind of think that like maybe those four houses leaders have to be killed, and you have to take something that they have like their face.
That's what I'm saying. Maybe at the end of each part, there's like a boss battle,
and you can get it.
You get
and
it,
then put it in,
right?
And then maybe Dimitrescu is house 1, Beneviento is house 2, House Moreau is 3, and then Heisenberg is 4.
It just breaks it up.
Yeah, because I definitely think Heisenberg is going to fall last. I have a feeling he's going to fall last.
You think I might go left to right?
Yeah, I think so. If that's even the case. Now,
it might not even be.
We have other stuff to talk about too, which we're not going to break down here. We're going to do that in our next video.
Of breakdowns.
Our next video coming out is going to be all about the collector's edition map and the collector's edition breakdown in general. Just kind of talking about our thoughts, what we think about all of the collector's editions editions.
All the regions.
That are available. All the regions, you know, the $1,800 Chris Redfield Macy's jacket and everything else.
The pea coat.
The pea coat. Yeah, we're going to go over all of it,
boys.
All of it, boys and girls. But Anthony, what do you think about this fine gentleman? We're dubbing him the Warhammer Chief.
The Warhammer Chief. This is the axe/hammer man. This is a Warhammer because it does have the spikes on the end of it.
Yep.
With blood. This guy looks like he looks like a chief. Looks very old, looks infected. He's got a big ass bushy beard. But
also, I have said this already, and we have talked about it, but I have to ask you, Anthony. I got to ask you, Anthony. How crazily Bloodborne is this?
It's very similar to Bloodborne.
It's very similar.
Yeah.
This character looks like you could throw him in Bloodborne and he would just be there.
Well, I was going to say, so with this hammer, though, it's very reminiscent of what Heisenberg was wielding at the end of the trailer.
Yeah.
So perhaps this Axeman is going to be a part of his crew, or it's going to be, we're going to talk about how he attacks in the gameplay on the gameplay breakdown, but he does attack very fast. He is menacing, so he's probably going to be... It looks like this is part of the village where it's burning and there's a bunch of enemies running around on screen, from which we saw in the past trailers and quick glimpses of gameplay. So He's definitely going to be intimidating. I really dig the design. It looks like it's going to be wielding some damage for sure. This thing's going to be very hard to kill, so we shall see.
Again, this is Dark Souls 3.
Yeah, the hidden enemies of the dungeon.
It's so Dark Souls, but I love it. That's not a criticism, guys. I love it.
Yeah, no, it looks great. I mean, they all have fucked up teeth, and they look, they got claws, and then they look undead, and it looks like Ethan's fighting them in the tunnel from what we see. And these enemies in particular, when they show up, it's shown that you can still block with Ethan while you have your pistol wielded, and you can also push enemies away with L1 or with the, with LT, L1, whatever you're playing on, and you can kick them away. So you can push enemies away, and you do have some defense, but they do wield swords, John. They wield swords.
Back
so now
to the
that
melee.
you have a block and parry as well with Ethan, you do have more of a defense, which I'm happy they kept somewhat of a defense here to accommodate the enemies, but these are also pretty creepy looking, if I say so myself. And just adding more to the combat. Now, we don't know how the combat feels. There's a lot of people saying that what they saw, the combat looks janky, it looks good, looks bad, whatever the case may be. We're going to obviously, we won't know until we get some kind of combat demo, and we'll talk about it, in the videos up and coming. But, so far, this looks pretty good. This looks pretty good. Now, this next screenshot is the tall lady and her daughters.
Lady Alcina Dimitrescu and her insect daughters is what I call them.
Alcina and her daughters.
Alcina. Yeah, this is in that room that we broke down the screenshot for, the very one of the very first ones, right?
Yep.
It was like 3 or 4. This is in the gameplay. This is when she meets Ethan. She puts the cup down. She talks to him, and then, yeah, that's it. There's really not much else to say about
drinks
this one.
his blood, from what we are guessing.
I think they brought him in, and then she brought him his blood. She drinks it, and then goes, well.
You taste good, you son of a bitch.
Ethan Winters, you taste good. You taste faceless.
You have no face. These next couple of screenshots are important because the one thing that we had them talk about again in the showcase was the new merchant called the Duke. And the Duke is going to be spotted around the village doing a bunch of different stuff in the world of Village, accommodating to the story and stuff like that. This looks like he's in the castle, sitting down on a bed or a bench or a couch cushion, and just sitting there surrounded by stuff while smoking a cigar with a bunch of rings on. And he is going to be our boy as far as finding upgrades, buying ammo, because you can buy ammo now.
You can.
Health, and crafting. So this is just one of the scenarios in which you run into him. This next screenshot is him in the wagon outside. So this looks like him in his more traditional habitat, being outside of the village with a lantern. And he has a bunch of stuff next to him, bunch of bottles and chains and bones and whatever the hell else. And he's also barefoot, which I think is hilarious.
I think that's really funny, too. He's so... Because if his shoes don't fit him, bro.
Yeah, man. He's just walking around. He's like, fuck the cold. I don't even care. And this next screenshot is important here. Now, this in particular is the Duke's Emporium. No one's a stranger to the Emporium. And supplies, gunsmithy, and the Duke's purse. So spend today, live till tomorrow. The best bangs for your buck. And everything has a price. So the supplies, spend a day, live till tomorrow, represents buying the ammo and the health. The gunsmithy is obviously the upgrades for all your weapons, which again is this already looks like a way better upgrade system and mechanic than what we had in Resident Evil 7. And then the Duke's purse is obviously, we see the lei shown there in the photos, the coins, which is the currency in Resident Evil Village, and that is obviously going to be how you're going to sell. I'll buy it at a high price. But we won't have that in this game. We'll have whatever he says this time. We don't even know. But John, how do you feel about this? Because I mean, this is definitely a big step up than the silly coin in the cage system that we had in the few locations in Resident Evil 7. This looks like they're bringing back the upgrades full swing, and this is the first look we have at what his menu looks like.
I think that this is going to be a little bit of a controversial statement, but in terms of the merchant, from what I've seen so far, I think we're getting a better version of the original RE4 merchant. I think they learned from what didn't work with the RE4 merchant, specifically since in RE4 you couldn't craft ammo. And I think because crafting is such a big thing since Resident Evil 7 came out, that was definitely the direction that they were going. They were going back to Resident Evil 3.
Yeah.
And getting that system to be another thing again.
Gunpowder and everything.
Which really, the last time we really saw that was Code Veronica with the bow gun.
Yeah.
Was the last time we really saw the crafting of, like, ammunition together. You didn't really get that in 4, 5, or 6.
You got it in Revelations 2.
Revelations 2 does have crafting,
scraps and stuff like that.
Which came out after 6, right?
And it was a little, and it was a little like it wasn't half-assed, but it was there.
It was there. It was the beginning,
right?
It was the beginning,
Yeah,
and they knew they wanted to do something with the mainline games with that. So they definitely did that.
That's
now,
especially what those games are for too, to kind of test those
things. Yeah, for sure, and they work out like they work.
Yeah.
You were right. I forgot about Rev 2. But yeah, you get those. You get them in here. I really think it looks more polished and looks a little bit better because you could buy bullets, you could buy recipes to learn how to craft ammunition.
Right. I'm sure you'll learn stuff.
I think that's important because I promise you the ammunition you can actually purchase is going to be like you can buy 10 shotgun shells every single time you see him, but not 20.
It's like the merchant in RE4 with the first aid spray. You can buy like
one
or two, and then it would like stop you.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Don't jank up the game here.
Yeah.
But it says at the bottom of each little box here is this connoisseur of exotic food and drink, the Duke's Emporium.
Yeah, information on the Duke's Emporium.
And then it says we purchase oddities and rarities for a fair price.
Yeah, it's really kind of hard to read with how small the screen is. Anyone, anywhere, anytime, the connoisseur of exotic food and drink. Now, let's talk about what we see here. So the Duke's purse is obviously the sell tab.
Yeah.
He's going to be buying stuff from you. That's good. Gunsmithy, obviously, we know that's going to be used to upgrade your guns.
Supplies,
we already have seen in
ammo.
the screenshot, you can get different triggers. That's probably like a burst trigger or something else.
Right.
We are not gun people, by the way, so we do not know every fucking detail of a gun.
Yeah.
So please don't hate us in the comment
section. We learned our
section.
lesson with the RE3 era.
We cannot talk about anything without you guys being like, well, actually, if you want to explain gun parts, go ahead. I don't know anything other than what games have taught me, and I know when I see a trigger,
right,
it could be that it's going to let you do 3-round burst.
This screenshot shows supplies. Spend today, live till tomorrow. Looks like this is the selection all the way to the left.
It looks like there's a shotgun barrel. It looks like there's interestingly enough, it looks like there's a recipe to learn how to make lock pads.
And sniper rifle ammo, too.
I think you're going to be able to learn how to make lock picks or something. And sniper rifle ammo.
Learn how to make sniper rifle ammo using crafting, so you can learn how to make the ammo.
Yeah, which is what I said earlier.
And
also,
on the bigger weapon case, the return of the bigger weapon case for 10,000 lei, you can actually extend your weapon case for the first time since Resident Evil 4.
Yeah, go back to the other screenshot real quick. For us, so you guys will just see like a thing. The supplies. Notice that there's a grenade.
Yeah.
Grenades are coming back, guys.
Grenades are coming back.
Or they're just there because fuck us, I guess. I don't know.
Yep. And then, but that's a good point. Yep, so in the top left block, you see the bigger weapon case. That's exactly what that is. And this is a look at a little of the supplies. This next screenshot right here is the crafting menu. So first aid, herb, chem fluid. We obviously know this combination. This looks very familiar. This is just showing us that all the options that you can craft, and that's showing you the weapon case yet again. This next screenshot looks like the main items menu when you have your inventory pulled up. So this looks like a mid-size weapon case, the default one they've been showing us. We see the Lemmy, we see the shotgun, we see the knife, and then we see the bullets. But we also get a little objective on the side that says look for Rose in the castle.
It doesn't even look like it looks like 10 rounds and 5 rounds. It looks like
Right.
pretty much.
You got your
default.
health bar up top.
There's
that's
no
showing you.
weapon sockets yet.
Right.
He's got no charms or weapon charms or anything in.
So I guess they got
So,
rid of
yeah.
Ethan's smartwatch, so now it's just like a health bar up here.
Hey, dude, you can never get too many text messages in the castle.
You can't.
You know what I'm
No
saying?
signal out in the village.
No
Not-
signal
Not
in the
the path
village.
to the village.
This really excites me though, because I like this. Like I like that there's more intricacies than there was in 7.
Yeah, already just with the crafting and the upgrading
Like-
and the case already.
I want a handgun. Could you imagine doing handgun only runs where your handgun's just a beefy boy? You've got like incinerary charm where you shoot things and they just catch on fire.
Or an extended mag, and you just have so much ammo in there, like
I'm
you
looking
extend the
forward to it.
capacity. Yeah, and it creates replay value because you're going to do New Game Plus. You're going to want to upgrade everything.
Yeah, we're gonna do
You're
hard
going to want to
mode
find everything.
During
Yeah,
the 24-hour stream where we
Yeah.
get clapped every
you could do
second.
New Game Plus on every single mode that you do. So this just makes it better. And this last screenshot here that we have for you guys is the collectible goat that they showed in
Yes.
the showcase. It was Mr. Charlie. Now we are.
Well, that wasn't
shooting-
really a goat. That was a sheep.
Well, no, I'm saying collectibles though.
No, I said I made the sound effect, and I was like, that wasn't really
okay.
a goat. A sheep, a goat's more like, meh. They like my grandma had goats. They're little assholes. If any of you out here watching this have goats?
Goats are nice.
No,
You just need to give them a buddy.
we had 2 goats. One was named Bo, and one was named Beauty. And Bo is a big white goat, and every time you would pull into the driveway, he would jump on top of the car, because that's what goats do. They like to climb. And he would jump up and he'd be like, meh, and then he would just shit all over the car. But since goats poop like little pellets and they're not wet, you would just hear, and you'd be like, really, Bo, get the fuck off the car. I hated that goat.
Well, hopefully this isn't.
He
Bo.
actually ate my homework once. I'm not even fucking kidding.
Jesus.
When I was in high school, he ate my homework, and my mom was like, "Just tell him that the goat ate your homework." And I was like, "Yeah, that's gonna go over well." I showed him a picture of it. It's all chewed up. He would just walk by and just grab shit and just rip it up, and then you'd yell at him because like he understood you, and then he would get angry and he would run into the living room and then butt the couch. And I was like, the fucking
Well, hopefully
goats,
these
man.
aren't like Bo. So
No, they're gonna be. I'm just gonna shoot and kill them. We
Yeah.
ate Bo.
Yeah. So yeah, it's over.
Fuck him. What? Yeah, he got
Don't say that.
he
Come
got
on.
he got
People are gonna
clapped.
be like, "What the fuck, John?"
No, we didn't eat Bo. I'm
No,
just
but
kidding.
anyway, yeah, this is the collection. This is the collection that you're gonna have to get.
He's a
You're gonna
Billy
have to
goat.
find like 20 of these probably. I'm assuming.
I
it's gonna
hope
be
it's 50.
trophy or achievements.
Dude, don't tell me about trophies. I'll get them all.
Yeah,
I'll
So
get them all.
We're gonna be finding these all around. But that's it for the screenshot breakdown.
Yes.
Stay
Let
tuned
us know
for
what
more.
you think.
Let us know what you think of our thoughts and opinions of the screenshots. We still got to break down the trailer and the gameplay for you guys.
Also, don't forget to leave a comment and let us know what you think.
Hit that like
Subscribe
button.
to the channel.
Hit the bell.
We know that 47% of you aren't actually subscribed to the channel because we have our good old analytics.
Gotta hit that subscribe.
So more than half of our views come from subscribers, but the other half does not. We're creating premium Resident Evil content here,
We're keeping you up to date with Village all the way through.
and we're doing research, and we're getting better at it.
We're doing
So
live streams.
Please support us, even if you can't join our Patreon, which is in the link
Right.
below. And if you didn't know, merch is here.
Merce is here.
There is your Sell Our Souls section of the day, but you'll notice we're all only talking about ourselves.
Yep, it's just us.
no,
we're
there's
still
no-
independently ran here.
We are not
no
sponsored by
entities looming
Pepsi yet,
over us.
unfortunately.
No,
We will eventually, hopefully.
we're only partners with Capcom when we do live streams on their official things.
Yeah, on their
So,
official
you know,
things,
before
and
you
that's
say that
it.
in the comments. You know,
And they also don't pay us. So,
they don't. We're independent.
Yeah,
mofos.
we're independent.
But hope you enjoyed the video.
but that's just a theory, Anthony. A Let's Talk Resident Evil theory.
That's it. This video was brought to you by our supporters over on Patreon, where users like Jack Fleming make it possible to keep on delivering awesome content. If you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing to the channel and hitting that like button. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.